Welcome back to Intermediate Programming Topics. This is video 4 in our series. My name is John Duane. Last time I finished up an example program written in VBA that implemented two new ActiveX controls, the combo box and the progress bar. The example made extensive use of events and event handling procedures, as most programs with a Windows Form interface would. Today we will begin a brief detour into programming in another language, .NET, and specifically C#. In the first video series, Introduction to Programming, we had a few small examples of C# code, mostly to show you the appearance of the code in C family languages, of which C# is one. The other big members of this family are C++ and Java. Of course, the patriarch is the C language itself. My motivation with this and the next video is the same. I want you to see the programming concepts in Visual Basic 6.0 and VBA translate very well in the C languages. The main difference is the C language expects the programmer to take more responsibility for certain aspects of the program that are automatically handled in Visual Basic 6.0. You might say, the less I have to think about the details, the better. Well, sure, I get that. However, what you give up is some control over the operation and capabilities of your program. It's kind of like autocorrect on your cell phone. Usually in your text messages, it makes the right decision on how to spell a word, but sometimes, with tragic consequences, it does not. With C, C++, Java, and the .NET languages, you have much more control because you have to handle those details yourself. Memory management is one such detail that is more complex in those languages. Another programming language we will see in this example is a dialect of the XML language, namely XAML. It is tightly integrated into the Forms and Windows building process. Again, the reason I'm showing you this is just to give you an idea of other languages and what they look like and how they are used. Now, one thing C# is really good at is the creation of really good-looking user interfaces. We will create a simple one, but you'll see immediately the possibilities C# offers to make Forms and Windows really beautiful. So again, this course is about programming in the business environment, so we will focus on functionality much more than beauty, but you'll see the potential. So first, a few basics. So let's go back to my outline. Alright, so C# programming. The first thing is that C# programs are compiled. In our first video series we talked about the difference between a compiled program and an interpreted program. Visual Basic 6.0 compiled, VBA interpreted, and C# is compiled. So just briefly, the differences are that an interpreted program, the program code is reduced to machine language so that it could actually run. All that is done at runtime. So the deep error checking and the the creation of the machine language is done at runtime. In a compiled program, the creation of an executable file happens before runtime. You might say during design time or during build time. So all the deep error checking and all the machine language creation happens earlier. So the result of a compiled program is usually a file that ends in .exe that you can run. So that's what you get with C#. It's a compiled language. You have to write your program in a code editor of some kind, and the best one is Visual Studio. It's designed for all the Microsoft programming languages. In our case here, we'll see Visual Studio 2013. It's a suite of functionalities. It contains an interactive development environment as well as the compiler and all sorts of help tools. And inside Visual Studio 2013 you can create all sorts of programs. Console programs, basically, which run based on command line input in a DOS window. So very simple, minimalist user interface programs. Then there are programs with old-fashioned Windows forms. We can do that too. But better are Windows Presentation Foundation programs. We call that WPF. This is the sort of the modern version of kind of the Windows user interface. We'll see that in our case. Well, you can also write web applications using ASP.NET. Alright, so Windows Presentation Foundation. This is preferred over Windows Forms now. This is the way most modern Microsoft programs are written, is with WPF. The user interface, the forms in Windows, are much more compatible with modern graphics cards and the graphics processing units in today's personal computers. Just an example of how it works better. A WPF image looks as good on a tablet screen as on a 50-inch computer monitor. So the rendering of the images handles being compressed to a very small size or being expanded to a large size. That's not something that the old Windows programs are able to do. And WPF objects can be created kind of the way we created our Windows forms in VBA, using the drag and drop drawing board, or they can be created using XAML, and we'll see some of that. Okay, so again, what is this XAML? Well, XAML is a descendant of XML, or you might say it's a dialect of the XML language. XML, Extensible Markup Language. XML is used extensively throughout web applications. It's one of those languages that's easily understood in all sorts of different operating environments. So Windows, Linux, all the different operating environments. XML is a friendly language. XAML is an offshoot of that. It's called Extensible Application Markup Language, and so it's a way that we can create forms in Windows using what is sometimes called a declarative approach. So here, the way I've written it in the outline, XAML is a declarative programming language that allows the user to create the interface with code. So you'll see how we do that, and it's pretty easy to spot XML or XAML if you're looking at some code and you're not really sure what this is. If you've got tags with the angle brackets before and after, you probably have XML or XAML. Alright, so let's go to the next thing, which, yeah, here we go. So if you want to build any programs in C# or any of the .NET languages, you need to get yourself a copy of Visual Studio. There's a version called Visual Studio 2013 Express, which you can download for free. So that's what you see here on the screen. This is the Microsoft website where you can actually get this for free. So before you spend any money buying the standard or professional editions, I would definitely download the Express version and get comfortable with it. Make sure it's something you want to do. If you want to learn C# or any of the .NET languages, you will have to get Visual Studio at some point, so you might as well start with the free version. Okay, so let's wrap up. We covered all the background we're going to need to cover for C#, WPF, and XAML. Next time we will dive into a C# program that does almost the same thing as our last VBA program. You'll see the combo box and the progress bar, but you'll see it in a much different light. So I hope you found this video informative. Please subscribe and write comments if anything wasn't clear. I will definitely respond to all of your comments. See you next time.